to the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast, coming to you virtually while the studio is being redone. We're sparing no expense, and by that I mean we're spending none of our own money to do it. Hopefully.
We did the first renovation.
But what was that, John?
I said we did the first renovation.
Yeah. This one's on the owners of the studio, and we're really excited to see what they've done with the place when we can get back into it. We got a little bit of behind the scenes. Josh was in there, and I think it's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited to show it to you guys, but not sure. Maybe we'll be back in there next week. So get in there and test it out before we do our live draft at the end of the month. But until then, we'll be coming to you guys virtually until they give us the keys. We got a fun one lined up for you today, talking about Jimmy Haslam's comments, the owners' meetings. I believe it was AB and Kevin have done a lot of talking to the media in the last day or so. So got a lot of fun stuff to dive into. There's even a quarterback sighting in Cleveland, in Kirk Cousins that we have to talk about. And so it's just been kind of an exciting week in terms of, I mean, for being in the off season, kind of being this dead period before the draft, and the main part of free agency is kind of winding down. So we're in like this little bit of a lull where it's just smoke and mirrors and conspiracies and quarterbacks being at Chipotle. So all things considered, we got a fun one lined up for you guys. Before we dive into it, though, remember, if you want to get thoughts and intros on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail on the drop-down menu. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of the content we're putting out. You don't want to miss our live draft episode when it rolls around at the end of the month. That's always a fun one. We always have a good time. And we actually get to do it in the first round again this year, which I'm looking forward to. First time since the Greg Newsome year, which was the very first year we ever did a draft episode. Since then, we haven't got to do one with a first-round pick.
That's right.
So I'm excited to do the draft episode this year. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. If you prefer to just listen to the show, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google. You can search at the Dawgs Podcast on any of the major social media platforms. You'll find us. And lastly, if you're looking for more Dawgs content, head to jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dawg Pack member on the Patreon page, get access to the private Discord, play fantasy football with us, which we're slowly creeping closer to. We'll have to start getting signups out for that so we can get the draft set up for late summertime. Get to meet cool people from all over. So that's jointhedawgs.com if you want to become an official Dawg Pack member. And then the last thing I always forget to mention, if you want to support the show, 99 cents a month, become a YouTube member. That helps the show out. You don't even notice the missing $10 at the end of the year. So if that's something you're interested in, you want to get the cool Browns emojis in the chat, especially when we're going live, that's just become a YouTube member, help support the show for 99 cents. So I think the first thing we should get into today is obviously talking about Jimmy Haslam. And I have the quote from him. He says, "We took a big swing and miss with Deshaun. We thought we had the quarterback. We didn't, and we gave up a lot of draft picks to get him. So we've got to dig ourselves out of that hole. It was an entire organization decision, and it ends with D and I, so hold us accountable." I thought this was big because it's first of all, he's still under contract.
Yeah, on the team, rehabbing.
He's
in the building.
If that doesn't say, like, I was already convinced he's never going to play another down of football for the Cleveland Browns again, but this just was the hammer. Yeah, the nail in the coffin on it. There's no way he ever steps on the field for the Browns again after today. I thought it was interesting. This is the first time we've ever heard anybody from the organization just publicly come out and say, "Listen, we tried and it sucked, and now we gotta fix it from here." It's the first time anybody's admitted anything about it, other than, "Oh, we've got to get him healthy. You know, he's doing all the right things," and yada yada yada. Like, this is the first time we've heard anybody kind of close the book on that chapter. Were you guys surprised that he came out and said that today?
Yeah, I was super surprised. Honestly, I don't know how you guys feel. There's like this part of me that, like, deep down, I was very nervous, like, that there's potential that Deshaun Watson, they were really, really still, he was like QB1. And it's because I just don't really know what's going on with my team right now. But I do think it offers some clarity about what their path is moving forward, you know, because I had doubts. I was like, maybe they're trying to run this thing back in 2026. I don't know. But it offered clarity. And then I thought it was pretty crazy him just saying, "Hey, you know, it ends with me and D," and he just took accountability for it. I think everybody kind of thinks that he was the driver at the end, you know, the money. I don't think AB is just walking into his office and going, all right, Jimmy, we're going to need 230 right now. Just sign the check. You know, I think that came from the top, you know, but kudos to him. You know, he took accountability for it. He took a swing. We all were on board with the trade when it happened.
Yeah.
It just, a lot of things have happened since then. And it just has panned out super negative.
Yeah.
Call me crazy.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Josh. I was going to say, call me crazy. I'm still not anti the try. Even though we're at the end of it, I'm still happy that we took the big swing and didn't just settle, you know, for potentially mediocrity. And some people that are huge Baker fans will come in the comments and attack me for that. But it took multiple years for Baker to get to the point where he had another Pro Bowl season. You think after the season he had, we're going to let him have the season he had in Carolina the next year for the Browns? No, he was not surviving that year, or even the following season. No, it's not happening. You know, so I'm happy they took the big swing, but it just didn't work. I thought it was not, I guess I won't say funny, but interesting. He didn't mention the money. He didn't say picks. We gave up a lot of picks and spent a ton of money to get him. He just mentioned the picks. Money's no problem for this guy. So the people who are screaming about the money and the cap hell it was going to put us in and all this stuff, no mention of the money. It was just the picks that he's talking about recouping and overcoming. So I thought that was an interesting takeaway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just goes to show you too, like you said, not mad about the move, because think about it. We've got the number 2 pick in the first round this year. And there's no guaranteed thing at quarterback. There's no slam dunk home run that everybody's like, oh yeah, this is locked in, Browns pick, move on to pick 3 and forget about it. So they took 3 first-round picks, went after a guy who had already proven on the NFL field that he can be a high-level NFL quarterback, and they swung. Okay, it ended up being a miss, but if they came out tomorrow and said we're going to trade the next 3 first-round picks to get another top-level guy, Justin Herbert or somebody, we'd all be like, cool, we need an answer at that position. And well, yeah, and if there's no guarantee that every year you're going to have a top 1, 2, 3 pick to try to get the top quarterback. So 3 first-round picks, that could be anywhere from 1 to 32. And if you're in 20 to 30 range, you're not getting a top guy. So they took a big swing. We loved it. I'm with you guys. I'll hand it to him for taking that swing. It just didn't work out. But I am shocked that he said this today. I did not think they were ever going to address it or just really come out and accept, or give accountability for it. I just thought it was going to be a lot of, we'll just see if he gets better. And then gradually, we'll just place him on IR. He's not ready. And then, we're just going to cut him, because we can save all. And here we are already talking about it being a swing and a miss, and we can actually move on, because I'm with you, Justin. I've been seeing Deshaun's been posting like workout compilation videos on Instagram, talking about how he's, growing and maturing and off the field and all this stuff. And I just had that pit in my stomach too. Like, that was $230 million in 3 draft picks. What if
they might not
try
be
to
ready to bail yet still?
Yes. So this was great.
Apparently they were ready.
Yeah. Jimmy's like, I'm not messing around.
I did. I kind of like that there was no throwing under the bus. Like I'm under the impression, and we kind of talked about this through text earlier, is I don't think he said you have to go get Deshaun. I feel like AB at least was like, I want to go get Deshaun. And then they all got on board, and then AB was like, we're going to lose him. And Jimmy was like, okay, this is what we can do to make sure it happens. And that's what they meant by total. I don't think he was like the guy who's like, we have to move on from Baker. We have to go get Deshaun Watson. I think the football people went to him and said, I think we need to upgrade at the quarterback position. So the fact that he didn't just like throw him under the bus and he said, put it on me and D, I think that shows some leadership. And I thought the next thing he said about the quarterback position is they have to get it right in the draft. And if the QB isn't there, they'll take a year or 2 to get that right. It kind of sounds to me like we are all under the impression if we don't win this year, or at least look significantly better, like we're ascending, that everybody'd be gone. Like this is a win or go home kind of season for Kevin and AB. Sounds to me like they're going to be patient. And like they're like, okay, we know it might take time to recover from the Deshaun trade. So, we understand this might not be a 1-year turnaround. I don't know. I kind of got the sense like there could be some patience at play that I don't know if any of us were really predicting.
No, it almost gives me vibes of, are they actually thinking about this in terms of a rebuild type of team? Because when he's saying, hey, if the quarterback's not there too, we'll just take a couple years to figure it out. It's, well, what are you going to do without the quarterback? So it definitely makes me feel like they're not locked into a QB at 2. If the guy, or maybe they got 2 guys that they really like, whatever, if the situation doesn't present itself for them to take him, I think they take somebody else or they trade back.
At first glance, when I read it, I was kind of with you, Blake, where I was like, holy crap. Like I thought this was make or break for, Kevin Stefanski and for Andrew Berry. And, I'm listening and I'm like, well, hey, maybe we're going to see this thing through. Maybe he's taking accountability for how the Watson thing's gone and, maybe giving him a little bit more slack. Also, he could just be completely blowing smoke. You know what I mean? Like, he's up there. Maybe deep down they are going to take a quarterback and he's just trying to keep people off term. Or I don't really know what the point of them going out and saying, oh, well, hey, we might not have a quarterback for 2 years, especially when you're talking about building a multi-billion-dollar dome where you have to sell tickets and look like a reasonable fucking product, which we haven't looked like. So I would suggest that 2 or 3 years down the road, we have some things figured out. I don't think it shouldn't have to take 2 or 3 years to figure some things out. You know what I mean? A lot of guys, good GMs and stuff like that have gotten fired way before that. And even, we've seen it from Cleveland every 2 years, rotating door. So I hope that we kind of can at least address it a little bit. I don't want to be 3 years down the road talking about, well, hopefully Kenny evolves a little bit. I'm not ready for that.
I'm still convinced that they're going quarterback. At least that's my hope. I know Kevin talked about the quarterback. He kept saying about how he's excited for Kenny. I did say, he didn't say, that he was going to be the guy. He said he think he has what it takes to make a good QB competition, which I kind of thought was an interesting, this guy, he's 100% going to be in a quarterback competition, which means they plan to add another quarterback. Well, and they haven't signed a free agent one yet. So they're taking a quarterback somewhere in this draft. If it's at 2, I still think it's going to be quarterback at 2, but they're taking at least one quarterback in this draft, because if not, there's their competition. It'll be Deshaun in a walking boot against Kenny Pickett.
Deshaun, who was a swing and miss.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think too, because then to kind of touch on what AB said, he said like they could make another move for a veteran quarterback, but it's that room is probably going to lean, it's going to be young. So it might be Kenny Pickett and 2 rookies, to be honest, is kind of the vibe I'm getting. I know Kirk Cousins was in, was it Chipotle?
Westlake.
Jason in Westlake.
Yes.
I know we have theories on this. What do we think? Do we think he was here for the Browns and it was all hush hush? What do you guys think?
Dude,
you want me to go ahead, Josh?
You can go ahead. What else are you coming to Westlake for?
Chipotle. Said double chicken, man. Gets him every time, I'll say this. I don't really think that there was any business to this. I really don't. We don't know what he was there for. He never really said, which kind of builds the climax of it or whatever. Honestly, I think this is a good thing for Kirk Cousins, if anything. It gets buzz going about him being in Cleveland, and then you have rabid Browns fans that are just like, yes, yes. And you hear, we got to get Kirk Cousins on this team. Come on. We got to do this. It gets buzz going.
Yeah.
He's not going to get cut or released. It's going to be a trade. So
one theory that I saw on Twitter, and I kind of looked into it a little bit too, and that's why I'm kind of buying into it, is that Kirk Cousins actually flew in to meet with the Browns team doctor to get a medical evaluation done prior to any draft talk or any trade talk during the draft weekend and all that stuff. And what I read, if it's correct, is teams can request medical evaluations of players they want to trade for. That's okay as long as the Falcons say, okay, that's cool, he can go get an evaluation done. He didn't actually meet with the Browns. That's a different thing because, everybody was already gone anyway. AB, right. Jimmy, Kevin, they were all gone doing quarterback private workouts. They were on the road all last week. So they weren't even in town to meet with Kirk Cousins. But from what I understand is that the team can request, hey, we're thinking about trading for this player on your team, but we would never do it unless there's a medical evaluation. Would you mind, or can you have that organized or scheduled or whatever? And they can do that, from what I understand.
So the only thing I thought to say that he wasn't here to do anything with the Browns is the fact that if he was, somebody would have leaked it on either side. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, there's just no way that nobody would have seen him. We happened to catch him at a Chipotle. Nobody would have saw him walking into the doctor's office or walking to the Browns, wherever the Browns doctors are, or nobody from the Atlanta side let it slip. Hey, Kirk's heading to Cleveland to get checked out by the medical people. Nobody, like, once it was happened, Adam Schefter didn't call all of his sources, and nobody was like, oh yeah, he was up there talking to the team doctors. Like, somebody would have let it slip. Like, this is not that tightly sealed of an organization between two of them. Like, maybe if it was internally just here in Cleveland, you mean to tell me between both organizations and the teammates that he talks to and anybody else he talks to, that nobody had any information? Like, so that's my only pushback to that is, if he was really here meeting with the Browns in any kind of capacity, somebody somewhere would have leaked it to one of these big guys. You mean, like, somebody would have had information about it if he was actually here meeting with doing Browns stuff.
I understand that, but I also have yet to hear any logical possible explanation as to why he would have been in the Cleveland area for any other reason. And the fact that Kirk, Rappaport, the Browns, nobody has offered any sort of explanation to me is just kind of like, if you don't want people to speculate, then tell us what the hell he was doing here.
Maybe does he have family? I don't know. I mean, I go to places that I don't have any connection to.
It sounds,
but it's just so,
like, for what it sounds,
it's too much of a coincidence that the Browns are so linked to trading for him, and then he just shows up in Cleveland before the draft.
The only thing I think is, was he here of his own? Maybe he didn't meet with the Browns. Maybe he didn't meet with anybody. He's got the no trade clause. Maybe he's like, I'm going to go over there. I'm free, and I'm just going to see, will I even entertain living in this area before I even tell my Falcons, yeah, that's a place that you'd be willing to deal me. Like, was he just sightseeing? I know people may not go to Cleveland, but if you're going to move here, maybe he wanted to come check it out. Maybe he was like, I'm going to go check out the area and see if I'm even willing to waive the no trade clause for these guys.
And that's fair, but that's still a Browns. I mean, it's not related to like meeting with the
Browns
organization,
adjacent. I'll give you Browns adjacent.
Yeah, it's related to the move, the potential move, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, so not to take us off track or anything like that, he's kind of linked with Pittsburgh a little bit too.
Oh, I see that.
If you're Kirk Cousins, so Pittsburgh's ended up fucking us either way, because they're either going to have Aaron Rodgers, and I'm fucking nervous about it, or they're going to take Kirk Cousins, because if you're Kirk Cousins and you can either go play in crappy weather that's not in a dome in Cleveland, Ohio, or in Pittsburgh, would you pick Pittsburgh? Because I would say the weapons on that team are way, way more improved than anything Cleveland has going on right now. I know there's a connection with Stefanski. And maybe that's enough. But to me, if I'm an aging on the back end of my career, I'm not going to Cleveland and shitty weather, and 3 years down the road, we're going to have a dome, but I'm not going to get to play in that. I'll take my chances with Pittsburgh.
DK and Pickens and Freiermuth, I guess they don't have a running back right now, do they? Or are they just
Jalen Warren? Warren's nice.
So, no, I definitely think offensively they're in a better place than we are. The Browns, the cupboard is bare on offense. It is. If you're trying to get a quarterback to come to Cleveland, he's saying, who's my running back? Oh, Pierre Strong or Jerome Ford. Okay. Well, no. Jerry Jeudy's my number one. Okay. Who's my number two? Cedric Tillman or said the middle lineman. Oh, you mean the guy who's hasn't played a full season and stayed healthy since his senior year of college or junior year of college when he was hurt that year also. Who's the tight end if Njoku can't go? Oh, we don't have one. You know what I mean? Who's my starting left tackle? Oh, it's a guy who's ended the last 2 seasons on IR and couldn't block anybody last year because he was so out of shape when he was in there because he was coming off of an injury. And it's just like there's no selling point to come to the Browns and play offense right now until post draft. That's why. Nobody's going to convince me that this draft isn't going to be heavy offense. There's just no way that we're not. There's no way we're picking defensive players to put on this team. We don't have a starting offense to put out there right now. And I know we're going to like wide receiver. So that we got to trade for Ayuk before tomorrow, right? Before it basically doesn't make sense for the Niners to trade him anymore. We don't have anybody. We don't have a running back. We don't have what I would consider a starting caliber running back on the roster. We have what we hope is a number one receiver in Jerry Jeudy. And then that's it. And we have a number one tight end in Njoku and nothing behind him. I mean, we don't have anybody that I would rely on to be a number two receiver, a number three receiver, a number one running back, or a number two tight end.
And we're hoping. Go ahead.
There's potentially like 5 key roles on offense that I think we need to fill in free agency in the draft. That's almost 50%, guys.
And we're hoping that an offensive line that looked awful last year suddenly
improves with the
much
scheme
improved
change,
under an offensive scheme change. That's what we're hoping for.
You're right.
Not that these guys got older and start looking terrible, or we're hoping that it's just all offensive scheme and that we just are good again.
Hey, Browns fans, we just want to remind you guys, go check out the Living for We podcast. Living for We, keep your head up, addresses the troubles of gun violence and offers solutions for those who want to better their community. You'll hear from Amir and Drew, 2 black men who picked up a gun as kids because they felt they had no other choice. Andre Taylor, a community leader stepping into schools to break the cycle. Walter Patton, founder of Ghetto Therapy, bringing mental health support straight into the neighborhood. These are real stories, real struggles, and real solutions. Living for We is an award-winning podcast from Idea Stream Public Media, part of the Connecting the Dots Between Race and Health initiative. This season, host Maureen Harris-Taylor and her new co-host Maisha Watkins, executive director of the Cleveland Peacemakers, bring you stories from the front lines, victims, survivors, and those fighting for change. New episodes drop every Tuesday, and they started last month on February 11th. Listen to Living for We wherever you get your podcast, or watch the video version on IdeaStream's YouTube channel. Learn more at ideastream.com/podcast/living-for-we.
No, it's going. It's smoke and mirrors. It's smoke and mirrors on the off. Like it's just. So there's not a good selling point right now, which is why I've never been more convinced that it's going to be offense in the draft. Like it's just. There's just no way you could put our defense out there right now and they'll be competitive and they can play winning football. If you put our offense on a football field right now, it will potentially be worse than last year's.
Yeah.
So we were talking, Thrilla shout out in the Discord today, ask about, if they take Abdul Carter at 2, what does that kind of signal? Has any team ever had 2 like high level pass rushers, but no quarterback, or, a rookie quarterback a little bit later? I said, I don't know about that, but if they did go Abdul Carter like at 2, that would kind of tell me there's a good chance we're punting on this season, at least from the offensive side of the ball. And Abdul Carter is more of a long-term, let's get our next premier elite pass rusher on the roster. Myles Garrett's got maybe 3 high-level seasons left, probably up to 5 decent ones. We'll see how that shakes out toward the end if they end up writing that contract all the way. But then you get your next edge rusher secured, and then you're not worrying about that anymore. But that would tell me they don't think they can fix the offense this season, and it's going to be bad.
It's some people are so on the Carter train, and to me, like, I don't know if there's a person I want least at number 2 than him, and it's all because he does nothing. It just does nothing for us. It just cool. So I think Jake Burns said it on X. I saw it the other day. He's like, he was pretending to be an announcer. He's like, that's another incredible. That's another 3 sacks for Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter. Browns losing late in the 4th quarter, 8-15, because that's what it'll be again. Like, it's just, and I was paraphrasing his tweet, but that's what it'll be. And I know, like, and I'm not saying drafting Myles was the wrong thing, so I don't want this to get misconstrued. But we passed on starting level quarterback to get Myles, and because he was the best player in the draft, and he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But we have 1 playoff win in his career. You know what I mean? We would have been better off taking one of those quarterbacks that turned out to be a franchise quarterback. We would be in a better place as an organization if we would have picked the quarterback and passed on the best player in the draft that year than we are taking the guy who's going to go to the Hall of Fame on the first ballot and still not having a quarterback.
Right. And I part of this with the Miles thing, and I've heard, I forget who I was listening to. Somebody was actually talking about this where, they opted to go Myles Garrett and not one of the quarterbacks. And yes, they passed on guys like Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson at the time. I'm just kind of looking at the list. I guess those were kind of the top guys. But the other guy they passed on was Mitchell Trubisky. So I feel like there's this, they're trying to weigh the scales of, well, we passed on Myles, we could have gone Mahomes, but if we pass on Myles and go Trubisky, now we're really screwed. So I feel like they're trying to figure out, are we passing on Carter to go with a quarterback that's Trubisky or a quarterback that is Mahomes? Not saying that any of these quarterbacks are Mahomes, but I'm talking starting level, be your guy for the next 6-7 years quarterback.
My only pushback to that was if, say, we wouldn't have drafted Myles and we would have taken Trubisky, how would we be more screwed than we are now? We're coming off of a 3-14 season. Myles is way under 500 in his career as a Browns player. We'd be one less playoff win. May argue maybe, you know what I mean? Like, how much worse could we be if we would have done that? So to me, risk reward, the reward is you get your guy for the next hopefully decade. The risk is, oh, cool, we got a Hall of Fame edge rusher. I can't wait to win three games in half of his seasons. The risk is you're just right where you are anyways because you don't have the quarterback.
Yeah, go ahead, Justin.
No, just to touch on what Blake's saying, I think that the edge, pass rushing is a super important position, but you have to have quarterback right. And we haven't had it right. Maybe you can make the argument maybe a year or two. You know what I mean? We thought maybe we were on track, but if you don't have a quarterback, you're done. I mean, Baltimore. Baltimore would probably be the last team that I remember, like, they had Trent Dilfer, but they had like an elite defense. And I mean, that's a way different scenario altogether.
Yeah, you can't compare today's NFL to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, I just always go to the Commanders. They had an elite defensive line. Montez Sweat, they went and got Chase Young when he was coming out of Ohio State. Like, their defensive line was one of the best in football, and they freaking sucked. They were terrible. Laughing stock of the league. Bad. They trade Montez Sweat, don't have Chase Young anymore. Defensive line's not nearly as good as what it was, but they got Jaden Daniels, and they're coming off an NFC championship berth. There's the quarterback, and the pushback is there's no Jaden Daniels in this draft. You don't know that. You don't know. None of us thought, did anybody think that Jaden Daniels was going to be that good? Like, we thought he had potential. All these guys had potential. It's so much about the fit. I could argue Jaden Daniels wouldn't have had the season he had if they didn't go get Cliff Kingsbury. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, if he gets drafted somewhere else that doesn't have a Cliff Kingsbury, he might not have the season that he did this year. So that's why I'm banging the drum for the Browns. They got to get the guy that fits. I don't even care about physical tools or look at the crazy arm angles this guy can throw. I literally don't care about any of that. I care about, can he process information quickly, and does he fit what we want to do? So we don't have to try to bend 10 guys to what he wants to do. We can just put him into what we want to do. The fit is just as important. So that's why I keep pushing back on this, like, go get Abdul Carter at 2 because he's the best player. Cool. I can't wait for him to have a 10-year career here, and he can go to the Hall of Fame, and we'll still be looking for a quarterback, and we'll still have one playoff win.
Yeah, I think if it's not a quarterback at 2, then it becomes a very realistic, and we're going to get pretty depressed real quick at the beginning of our draft night live, because it's like, man, it's probably going to be Kenny Pickett week 1, unless they swing a trade for Kirk Cousins. Because if they pass at 2, I know there's all this stuff online. Everybody's all excited. Well, trade back in and get Jackson Dart, or get Jackson Dart in the second round at 33. Guys, that's not happening. You're going to have to trade so far back into the first round to get him. There are so many teams that need a quarterback that are being linked to him now that you got to get in front of. It's not practical. And then, heck, even Jalen Milroe would be a stretch at 33 at this point with teams that are being linked to him in the first round. It's like, and that's a guy that's not coming to start week 1 or 2 or 3 or probably any time in year 1. So If it's not a quarterback at 2.
So I brought up the NFL draft order, and if just looking at, the people who are saying don't take a quarterback at 2, take Carter at 2, and then trade back up for Jackson Dart or something like that. One, I think there's like 3 quarterbacks. To me, in my head, there's one I want, and then there's 3 that I'd be like, okay, that's fine. I want nothing to do with Jalen Milroe. Like I at least not anywhere near like our first 4 picks. And he's not lasting past that. I know that. Nope. But if you're looking, Tennessee's taking Cam Ward at 1. They're taking Cam Ward at 1.
And if they don't,
so
then
say we don't take it,
we need to. But yes, they will.
Here's my hot take: if they don't take Cam Ward at 1, I'm still taking Shedeur at 2. But that's me. Because again, I don't care about that he can run around. I care about how he processes information and the fit. But so say we don't take a quarterback, then Cam's off the board. Now you got Shedeur and Jackson Dart out there. New York's going to take one of them. They're taking one of them. The Raiders, I know they just traded for Geno, but if all these guys aren't start right away, guys, I could 100% see the Raiders taking a Dart, or especially if Shedeur's on the board still. The Jets, I could see taking a quarterback. I could see the Saints taking a quarterback. I could see the Colts taking a quarterback again. I could see probably not the Cardinals, all the way down to the Seahawks, all the way to Pittsburgh. There are so many teams in the first round that could use a quarterback. You're not getting back up into the first. And if you identify the guy that you want, then you have to pick him. You can't risk, we're going to take Abdul Carter at 2, then we'll just don't worry about it. We'll trade back up and grab Jackson Dart. Like, teams are just going to be like, oh, that was your plan? Okay, go ahead. That'd be rude of us to not let you do what you wanted if that was your plan. Mm-hmm. That's not the way it works. You're playing with fire if you do that. So, and even if that happened to be the case and that was the plan, and we got handshake deals from all the teams that they'd let us trade back up to wherever we wanted to get the guy that we really had our hearts set on, I'm still not taking the defensive player at 2, because that off of that quarterback needs a weapon. Yeah, so if you want to go Travis Hunter and make him play wide receiver 85% of the time, if you want to go Pat McMillan, you got to get some weapons. And we just talked about how we need basically 5 starters on offense. I don't want to give up pick 33 for a quarterback that we could have just had at 2, because we need 2 running backs in this draft probably. Okay. We need a wide receiver if we don't trade for Ayuk, which it's looking more and more like we're not trading for Ayuk. We need a tight end. I don't want to be giving up tons of picks to move up to grab a guy that we could have we just did that. We could have drafted Deshaun Watson, didn't, and then we had to give up $230 million and 3 first-round picks to get the guy who could have just been on our team already, and we could have had him for the good 4 or 5 years of his career. Right. You know what I mean? So I'm just not doing that. And to all the people who are like, just get the best player, because none of these quarterbacks are franchise guys. One, you don't know that because they're surprised. Nobody thought Bo Nix was going to be a franchise guy. Russell Wilson was taken. I guess that he wasn't a first rounder, but he turned out to be pretty good. You don't know that, and that's why to me so much of it is the fit. And I think Shedeur fits us, and he could be successful here. But if he's not, we'll just be right back here again next year in the highly touted draft. You want us to take one in anyways, and guess what? We will be again. No matter if we don't get a quarterback, that's where we're going to be. It doesn't matter. I don't care if we take Abdul Carter or that's where we're going to be.
Yeah, and this kind of plays to your argument here. So I'm just, because I had it pulled up from earlier. So the 2017 draft, when we took Myles Garrett number 1, just talking about using high value picks to get long-term players. What's more long-term than if you hit on your quarterback? Because Myles Garrett went 1 to the Browns, obviously. He's still playing. He's still an elite level. And then it was Trubisky. He's done. Backup. Solomon Thomas was like he was like the defensive player you had to have after Myles Garrett in that draft. Who's he even play for now? He's backup, or he's just a guy. Leonard Fournette, done. Corey Davis, done. Jamal Adams, is he done? Is he still playing? I don't know.
He's still in.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still in.
Mike Williams, done. Christian McCaffrey on the back nine now. Still good, but we'll see. John Ross, done. Patrick Mahomes, elite. So out of the top 10 from that year, you've got 2 guys that are still playing elite, maybe 3 with Christian McCaffrey, depending on how he comes back this year from all the injury stuff with the Achilles. But these picks, I don't know. It's just
my favorite part is when they like Abdul is the most can't miss. He's can't miss. Okay, we'll tell that to Courtney Brown supporters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Browns have already drafted that guy before, and I don't think enough people are. He doesn't fit our defensive scheme. Like just as much as the quarterback fit matters on offense, we're going to ask this guy to do like what Miles does, to put his hand on the ground at 240 pounds and try to bull rush tackles. We won't stop a nosebleed off the edge. Teams will rush right at him for 300 yards a game. Miles is a freak. He weighs 295 pounds and moves like he weighs 220. Abdul Carter moves like he's 220, but that's because he weighs 240. It's just he needs to be a handoff. He needs to be a TJ Watt scheme type player, in my opinion, not a hand on the ground bull rush tackles. I don't see that. I just don't see that as a fit in what we want to do. We want to play a wide 9. He's not going to stop the run.
I think a big part of it too is Browns fans, like they're clinging to the hope that the defense is like the heart of this unit. You know what I mean? I think that they're like, that's the good part of this team right now. And they're like, well, imagine if we just throw this ball hawk guy out there and just imagine the possibilities. I'm with you, Blake. I think you got to take a quarterback. And then if they, let's say for some reason they don't, there's something we don't know. You know what I mean? Because it's blatantly like, it's our biggest weakness. It's our biggest hole. I will say, I'm on board with you. If they don't take a quarterback, the only way I think I'm like super stoked about moving forward is I could be on board with Travis Hunter at wide receiver, big time. I mean, I don't know how big you guys are on. Josh, I know you're pretty high on him. I think his upside, Josh, you've been saying it. He's got stupid elite upside. His biggest thing people say is he has size issues. He's the same height as Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. He's 10 pounds lighter than those guys. His route running, elite. His like separation, elite. His catch radius, elite. The guy on paper, you look at it and you go, man, he could be huge for us, especially when we have no weapons on offense. If you're going to take a weapon, if you're going to go the Cincy route and take a receiver and then come back and get a quarterback down the road, do that. Just so you guys remember, this was the worst offense by far in the league. It wasn't even close. It was pitiful. We had 19 passing touchdowns. 9 of them came in 3 games. So that means that we had 10 touchdowns over 14 games. That's fucking embarrassing. I remember thinking, oh, we have to get over 20 points to win a game. That is so just absolutely just mind-blowing to me that we're just, oh, okay, well, we'll just punt it for a couple more years. I don't want to punt it. I want to address it. I want to fix it. Isn't that the strength of Andrew Berry? Address the weakness. Make it a strength. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of just being like, oh, we'll figure it out. Cody Kessler is very accurate. And then he sucks. I'm tired of this shit. I can't do it anymore. Give me something to be excited about. I'm a season ticket holder. Don't make me go up there 8.5 times next year. Okay. I can't do it. And those half times, I'm leaving at halftime sometimes because it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I'm over it. Yeah, it is what it is. But I am on board with I guess if you're going to trade down with New York to 3, maybe, and you're not going to take your quarterback because you just don't care, take Travis Hunter then.
I think I heard, I was watching a video and it was Dion. And he said with Travis, there is no jump ball when you throw it. It's his ball. Like there is no jump ball. It's just you're throwing it to him. He's going to be the one who gets it. So I originally was like, if I'm not taking quarterback and give me McMillan, I would not be sad about getting Travis Hunter.
No.
So it's especially, I guess my biggest thing was I didn't want to take him because I didn't know what he was going to play, and I didn't know. I don't want a defensive player. I feel like I'm being very clear about that. But if we're going to draft him and we're going to and he's going to play offense 85% of the time, maybe go out there a little bit on defense and key moments or something like that, I'm fine with. But if he's going to be here to be an offensive weapon, then as much as I 100% believe it should be a quarterback, I'll at least be excited to be getting a guy of his caliber. I'm going to try really hard on draft night to not overreact to what we do at 2, and I want to react to the whole draft. If that, you know what I mean? I don't want to just get like if when the last time we had a first round pick and we were all kind of bummed about Newsome, and then until we then traded back up and snagged JOK, and it was like, oh man, this is actually an awesome draft. It's going to be hard for me though to contain those emotions, especially if they're like with the second pick in the draft, the Browns select a defensive player who doesn't score any touchdowns. I'm just going to be like, oh, please give me patience. It's going to be tough. So, but I just think if it's not quarterback, it's got to be offense, but it should be quarterback. Like it should be the quarterback.
Yeah. And I think that if they go, I talked about Travis Hunter like a couple weeks ago about maybe he would be the type of guy, if they don't go quarterback, that I feel like Andrew Berry would gravitate toward with that, multi-use that he can do. Like you said, put him out there at cornerback a little bit, and it helps on defense. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with doing it a little bit. I don't think the dude can play both ways 100% of the time like he wants to. I don't think that's feasible in the NFL. Maybe he can do it, but I wouldn't bet on it until I actually see somebody actually do it. It's never been done. But it would be interesting, like you're saying, Blake, the rest of the draft. So if they take Travis Hunter at 2, how early in the draft are they taking a cornerback? If they do, if they take a cornerback in like the 4th round, or even like the second pick in the 3rd round, that kind of tells me maybe Greg Newsome could be on the move at some point, because I think he's a nice trade piece, clears up almost like $13-14 million off of the books or the cap for the Browns this year, gives some flexibility or some more rollover into next year, whatever. And then you get Travis Hunter to kind of fill in sparingly on defense. And then you get this new rookie. You've got Denzel, you've got Emerson, you've got Miles Harden, you've got Cam Mitchell. All of a sudden, it's like, maybe that's not so bad in terms of if they go Travis Hunter at 2. This episode is brought to you by Bodden Sports. Browns fans, Bodden Sports is your one-stop shop for all your athletic gear. Bodden started out perfecting and manufacturing the best balls in the business. Yeah, if that sounded dirty, that's more about your mind than my words. But hey, it's true. Baseballs, softballs, footballs, basketballs, volleyballs, soccer balls, you name it, and Bodden has engineered the highest standard sports balls available. And now they offer more than just sports balls. If you got kids playing baseball or softball, Bodden has batting gloves and bats to go along with both game balls and training balls. If you're into basketball, Bodden makes basketball specifically for indoor or outdoor use. Heck, Bodden even has all the equipment you need for pickleball, which is one sport that I hear everyone is playing, and yet I still never have. And I need to fix that soon. But don't miss the backyard games section of Bodden's website, where you can order everything you need for this upcoming outdoor season. Pool balls, backyard volleyball nets, croquet, bocce, horseshoes, cornhole, and more. Right now, you can get 10% off your entire order at Bodden Sports, BADEN Sports.com/dogs, DAWGS, and use promo code DOGS when you check out. That's 10% off all the top quality sporting gear you need this season. BoddenSports.com/dogs.
What's up, Browns fans? If you're watching this, you already know me as a host of your favorite Browns podcast, but what you may not know about me is that I'm also a licensed realtor here in the state of Ohio. So if you're local to Tuscarawas County or Stark County, or you just need help finding a trusted agent in your area, shoot me an email at agentblakereniker@gmail.com to see how I can help you reach your real estate goals.
I just know the number one thing, the number 2 thing that'll make me sick is no matter what we do in the first round, if we early in this draft, I hear Jalen Milroe to the Cleveland Browns. That's going to be that is going to be the thing that just grinds my gears. We have a hardcore Alabama fan in our dog pack, and he is screaming from the mountaintops, "Do not touch this guy with a 10-foot pole." And I'm not taking the least successful Alabama quarterback. Like, the guy is just surrounded by the biggest offensive line, the best wide receivers, the best running backs, the best coaching. Everything is the best where he played in college, and he was the least successful. He was less successful than Mac Jones. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I don't want another huge project. Like, the thing that I like about Shedeur is we don't have to coach him on how to be accurate. He knows how to be accurate. We don't have to teach him how to read a defense. That's his strength. We don't have to teach him all this stuff. Like, we just have to maybe fine tune some things and get him up to speed. A guy like Milroe, I don't want to deal with an Anthony Richardson. You know what I mean? And I'm not calling him that, but I don't have time for that. I don't want that at all.
If they're taking the next 1 to 2 years to figure it out, I'm just saying that might be the route they go.
Again, if you take a guy like Jalen Milroe, you have to change your offense. You're not going to put him in the same kind of offense you're going to, run with what we want to do. It's going to be square pegs and round holes all over again, and trying to change the offense to what the roster is not suited to do. And we already saw how that went.
And I think I would, and I know we'll never get this information, obviously, because it's all under wraps, but I would just love to have more information on how those private workouts went last week, because we didn't even know that the Browns went and had a private workout with Jalen Milroe and Jackson Dart until they were already over. Usually we get, the media's out there telling us, hey, they've got a private workout scheduled with so-and-so, and they're going to head down there and do this. Here's who's going. It was like a day or two after they'd already had the workouts with these guys that we found out they did it. And I was like, hey, that was kind of weird having under wraps. And I guess just to spin off of last week a little bit, Justin, I know you were on vacation, so I don't know how much of this you were really following, but then they went to Penn State's pro day. They took Abdul Carter out for dinner. And then the next day was his pro day. Kevin Stefanski didn't go to the pro day. He went to Jackson Dart's pro day. And Jimmy and AV stayed with Abdul Carter at Penn State, which I know Abdul Carter wasn't doing anything at the pro day.
Right, he didn't even work out, right.
So, yeah,
right.
That makes sense. But there was just so much movement going on last week. And then they say, well, next week we're going to go have a workout with Shedeur. And now today, I think Mary Kay said they're going to take him out to dinner and not do the workout, just go to the pro day. So I don't know what's going on.
Speaking of the Penn State pro day, I can't be the only one that's a little bit turned off by taking a guy at 2 who's already got 2 injuries. Like, before, you know what I mean? Yeah. Before we even get, they were supposed to be, he doesn't need surgery. He's gonna work out at his pro day, and now he's not working out. So is it lingering, or is it I just don't want to do anything to hurt my draft stock? I already know I'm good. To me, if he was good, he would want to go out there and show it. I feel like it's lingering a little bit more. I don't want that. I don't need a guy who's banged up, take him at 2, undersized for our scheme, and doesn't score touchdowns. That's just me.
I will say this too. I know we're pretty like 99% sure Cam Ward's going 1 to the Titans, but the Browns did do a private workout with Cam Ward last week, which in recent years, like with Caleb Williams, you see like if these top guys get told by a team, hey, we're taking you, they won't do private workouts with other teams because they don't want to risk doing an injury or giving any inside information about their play style or anything to other teams. So the team said, don't do it. They won't, accept the invites to do these private workouts. So we were still able to work out Cam Ward, and the Titans are still going to go work out Shedeur Sanders. So this draft is really just mucky. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
It's kind of wild that we don't have, we really don't know who's going 1 yet. I'll be shocked if it's not Cam Ward. You don't hire an offensive coach and need a quarterback, and you have the number 1 pick in the draft and not take the quarterback. To me, that's kind of wild. But just the fact that it's not solidified yet, and then we don't know what the Browns are doing at 2, and so much of what happens at 1 and 2 is probably going to dictate what the Giants do at 3. I feel like the only thing I can really, even the Patriots at 4, I was going to say they're probably going to go wide receiver, but with getting Vrabel, who knows? They might go some big defensive lineman,
Mason Graham,
beef up. You know what I mean? So much. Like, I feel like the top 5 is not solidified at all, and we're less than a month away from the draft.
That's fair. I think it says a lot. The 4 workouts thing, I think it signifies, they're probably taking a quarterback. Are they taking a quarterback at 2 though, or are they trading back? If they have that luxury, I guess if they're not taking a quarterback at 2, you're basically trading back with New York or Vegas or whoever wants to come up to 2 to take him. Getting draft equity, and you're thinking your guy's farther down the road.
Right. And just so everybody knows, the Browns did say, or I think Mary Kay reported, those are the only 4 quarterbacks they're going to have like private workouts with, that they're going to get their offensive coordinator. Tommy Reese is going to go out on the field. They're going to run their scheme. They're going to plug them into their offense, see how they respond to the language and all that kind of stuff within the Browns offense. And it was Ward. They're going to do Shador this week, Milroe and Dart. That's it. The only other quarterback they've met with, they brought Tyler Shuck from Louisville in for a top 30 visit, but that's it. So I'm with you, Justin. I think those 4 quarterbacks, we're coming away with one of them would be my guess. They're really spending a lot of time evaluating these guys.
My best guess too is the theory of taking a guy at 2 then trading back up to get your guy. I think it's way more likely we trade out of 2 to 10 to 15 and get a guy who we think will still be there. I don't see us giving up a ton of picks when we have so many holes we need to fill.
No, I agree 100%. I think if they come away saying, okay, we would be great with Brown's words, say they think it's like Darter, we would be okay with if we end up with Milroe or Shuck, maybe if we end up having to wait until the middle of the second round or third, whatever, wherever he ends up going. But I know a lot of people are high on him too. So I could see them moving back, collecting some capital in this draft and next year, and just hoping that one of those 2 guys is available still when they pick. I don't like that strategy.
I hate it.
It's very risky.
We've watched them do that. We've watched multiple front offices try to do this with just Cleveland. I'm not talking in the league. I've watched Cleveland strike out on these things. That was the story for years was, we're sitting at 4. Don't take Julio Jones. Let's trade back. It's just one scar after the other with the trading back situation. And I get it. You're adding draft capital. Maybe you're adding a skill player, and we need a lot of holes filled, but
whether they trade back or trade up, we do not want to see any reports during draft night that the Browns have made a deal in the first round with the Chargers, who are at pick 22.
Yeah, that'll be if they go to 22, it's over. We're not getting a quarterback. We're rolling Kenny two glove Kenny out there and Deshaun Watson. Woof. Take a deep breath there. Ay.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh will definitely if we traded 22, everybody's gonna be gone.
Well, I'm just saying 22 because that was Johnny, that was Brady Quinn, that was Brandon Whedon. Pick 22 is like the cursed quarterback pick for the Browns. Don't pick one at 22.
I'm just thinking, Pittsburgh's at 20.
No, you'd have to get in front of Pittsburgh. You'd have to get in front of Pittsburgh. If Dart's there at 21, he's going to Pittsburgh. I don't see how they would ever
Milroe
pass.
too.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of those guys are going to be there. I just don't.
There's, like Blake said, in the draft order, there's so many teams that do actually need it. Need quarterbacks. The Giants, it's the Raiders, like you said, could get the successor to Geno. And then the Jets have been linked to, they like Jackson Dart, have been the reports. Hell, at 8, the Panthers, if they're not sold on Bryce Young, they're a wild card. I don't think they will, but you never know. The Saints definitely, because Derek Carr's not going to be there much longer. I mean, a lot of these teams, like you said, like the Colts, the Steelers, and then I've been hearing
Pittsburgh has Mason Rudolph.
Yeah,
they are taking a quarterback.
And I've been hearing the Rams could be linked to a guy like Dart or even like a Tyler Shuck to kind of come in because they think this might be Stafford's last year. So we'll see.
So, well, that's depressing.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think we should wrap it up before we start going in circles here. Like I said, it was a good one. We had a lot of good stuff to get into.
Just remember, historically bad offense. Historically bad.
Yes.
Worst in the league.
Not just worst in the one of the worst ever.
Yeah.
EVER
ever.
Yes.
Yes. So please get guys who can score touchdowns. if we can come away with quarterback, wide receiver, and 2 running backs in this draft, I'll be extremely happy. That especially if one of them is one of the Ohio State running backs. So we're going to wrap this thing up. Let us know what you guys think of the draft. I know I probably said some things that got piss some people off. And so go ahead and let me have it in the comments. And I'll argue with you maybe if I feel like it. But we appreciate you guys being here, hanging out with us throughout the offseason, putting up with all these virtual episodes. We're going to be back in the studio hopefully by next week. Brand new, super fancy studio. Just coming to you guys looking like real professionals. None of this bedroom background BS. So can't wait to get back into the studio, sitting, getting you guys a nice, good environment, getting you guys ready for draft night. So we appreciate you guys being here, hanging out with us, wading through our unprofessionalism. But again, pick offense, and we will see you guys sometime, probably next week, hopefully in the studio.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, D-A-W-G-S, for 10% off your order. And that code can be used over and over. So you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. Dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS.